Good morning, friends, and welcome to another edition. It's a regular Thursday edition with Bradford. Unlock brand with Bradford is our edition. This is a special webinar which is hosted by Bradford in terms of talking about how licensing works, and especially in current times, how licensing is changing the entire consumer experience. And today I'm privileged to have Mohit Verma, who's director at Beltak India. Mohitji, welcome to our show at Unlock Brand. So we will start with you to first really talk about Beltec as a story, as a journey of a brand, how the brand was evolved and when it was born, and we all have grown up on the brand. And now, what is the plans for you? So over to you, just a little bit on the brand side.
Yeah, thank you, Gauravji. Good morning, everybody. Just to start on the journey, Beltec was started by my father in 1972. He had just come down to Delhi from Punjab and he wanted to start a new business. Somebody suggested television sets. So he said, okay, let me get into it. And that time, only black and white televisions were the ones being made and sold in India because that was the technology available. So they started with that, and gradually down the line, the brand really picked up actually in 1982 during the Asia time when color TV started in India. And we had a German collaboration from ITT Germany, and the kids used to come from there. And it was tremendous because I was still a child that time, but I could still, once a while when you go to office, you see all the distributors and dealers sitting, queuing up in front with money in hand. And that was the only time I think that color TVs in India used to sell at a premium. You see cars selling at a premium, you see other products selling at a premium, but color TVs I never really heard of. So I think that was the only time because there was such a huge demand for the television sets. And the brand grew there. And gradually, it has evolved over time, over the years. We have done a lot of products under the brand. Color TVs, yes, the starting point. And then we have done nowadays LED televisions we are doing, washing machines, coolers, desert coolers, heaters. We also done a bit of kitchen appliances in terms of juicer mixer grinders. And of course, earlier we used to have DVD players and whatnot. So it's just gone through a whole phase of, products coming in and phasing out. So that's really the brand story today. And like you said, a lot of people do know the brand. So even people I meet very often, when you tell them that you're associated with Beltec, the recall factor is very, very good. So that's a good thing because they say, oh, yes, we remember, we had it when we were growing up. And that was the first color TV we had is a very, common comment I hear. So that's a feel good factor. So that makes you feel, good about the brand that people can still connect with it.
Absolutely, and that's where I think we are working a lot on, because the brands which have been part of your some kind of emotional journey, and that time I think television, color television was part of your very strong emotional journey,
Mm-hmm.
because this probably most of the cases, most of the homes, it was the first television coming in. This
Right.
connected families, not only families, I think connected neighborhoods. If you got a television in your neighborhood, then the entire other neighborhood also would start coming to your place, and especially all that we saw in the Asian games, then changes which started happening and people started, and you're right in terms of that time, it was a television was a kind of a big celebration, which in a lot of cases have now, it's now as a commodity product. So how difficult I would say is was for you to really see that this is now about coming to what 5 decades of a brand. How does one really work hard to keep the brand relevant and keep a brand going for 5 strong decades?
Right. So I think for any brand, foremost and at most is quality, the quality of the products that you're offering to people. So a brand who gets associated with quality and value of that sort is the one which can go long term. You have a lot of brands come in and a lot of brands fizzling out. So my father, when he started it, and over the years, he was very, very quality conscious. That he made sure that there was no compromises anywhere in the product and the components. And I think second most important thing that has helped us sail us, helped sail us through all these years is the after sales support. So that also for a consumer is a very, very important factor when it comes to picking up a product, and this is something which goes word of mouth, especially in a country like India, because the neighbors are talking, people are grouping together, and now you have WhatsApp and whatnot coming in, social media. So this goes translates, word of mouth. A bad product gets a very negative publicity, and more so today, but it was also there earlier, because the neighbors were very well connected and in touch with each other, communities. So that was the second thing that my father was very, very careful about. And then obviously it's also brand promotion and how popular a brand is, how big a brand is. So it all helps that, those factors also help it move through the years and maintain popularity to a certain extent. So all these things, I think, go hand in hand. You need all of them together. You just can't do without any one of them. And then obviously, that these are the basics: adopting new technologies, staying in touch with the new technologies, new product ranges, coming up with new features, new models. Um, uh, this is what really helps it.
And in just to even that, I think when you extended the brand to a lot of other categories, which you do that, it's very difficult. Sometimes you get the same kind of response. People just associate a brand, and I think sometimes over attachment with the one single, say you were attached with the color television, just to come out of that is also a big challenge. Sometimes a lot of brands are not able to really come out of that perspective because they always associate it with one thing. Like today, IFB is a great example. IFB was a washing machine company, but what they tried a lot on other things, but they've never been able to come out of that. They've always treated as a great washing machine company, but not with other things. And this is a problem which we also see in licensing when we start extending the brands. Sometimes this brand becomes limitation. Why? Because it's not been enticing. Very few global brands also have ability to do that. Samsung is a great example. Samsung is a company which was able to extend almost in everything. Even companies like Sony and other places were not able to really extend that. So what do you think are reasons for it, and how brands should really tackle them?
Okay, as far as we feel really, because we have done various product lines. We've also done in audio deck systems in the late 80s, and VCR, VCDs were extensions so that of the consumer electronics entertainment. So that really is one part of it. Then the juicer mixer grinders, when we launched it, that was a new product, and the network is different because those are kitchen appliances. But I saw, because it just happened by chance. Somebody came, they offered their product, they said, we can make for you. We have the, know-how available. They're already doing it. So we said, okay. So we had them manufactured under our brand and give it to us. And that's how it really started. And I started small, but then it really picked up. So I think again, it's the brand feel good factor and recall, but the big brands like you say, IFB have not been able to do it because again, we have been very open-minded working with various product ranges. We never constructed or constrained ourselves only to televisions or consumer electronics per se. Uh, so anytime a new opportunity has come in, we have always gone ahead. And explored it. We also did satellite systems in the early 90s when cables and satellite TV started, satellite receivers, dish antennas. So we have been experimenting with various products, and that also has helped over the years for people to associate our brand with various different product lines and ranges rather than just constraining to consumer electronics. Uh, so I think that is the main factor in how a promoter promotes the brand, really to the consumers by large.
And it's also first mover. I think what you rightly said was a lot of brands, whenever they bring in a first mover kind of a space, their association and acceptability in the market is there. If you're a late forward on a particular things, and acceptability for a new brand in the category becomes a little difficult in that sense. Now let's go into the licensing part, because the show is all about licensing and how brands are unlocking themselves and extending themselves. Before I come on to the this how Beltec is trying to now get into a full-blown licensing program. Let's see the whole space and the whole landscape, what is happening in the and you, because being a veteran in the industry, and last if you see 2 or decades, the brands which have been seen in the market were not the original OEMs. They were just the licensed brands, especially in the consumer electronics. I mean, if there was an era, particularly in the early 2000, where all the brands, almost every brand which was sold in the marketplace, was coming from maybe same factory, the same place, but with different names and different structure.
Right. So, yes, if you talk about the early 2000s, definitely that is something which happened. But on the other side, a lot of brand owners like us were also working with their own brand. But a lot of international brands came into India at that time, and they were the ones being, licensed in a major way. Now, for example, Sansui is a very good example of that. Videocon brought it into India, and they really worked very hard on the brand. They worked hard on the products. They promoted the brand in a huge way. I spent a lot of money on that. We still remember there were used to be Sansui sponsored film shows, film awards.
It was
Uh,
a lot of award, because I had an opportunity to work with Mr. Booth very closely.
Acha.
He actually created a full show, a full award show, especially for Sansui, because at that time Filmfare didn't give him, or some other company was not giving him the title sponsorships, and he created a full show and got Shahrukh to agree on to come part of that, and we created an independent IP for Sansui.
Right. So that was the era that time. And then again, talking about Videocon, they also had other products under their range like Hyundai. Then down the line, they got Philips for televisions. So that is a typical example of one factory producing multiple brands of the same kind of products, right? So, but they worked hard on it. You need to take some brand ownership when you get a brand on a license. You need to take it forward in a huge way to get success out of it. So that's also which is very, very important, and that's something that they have done beautifully. And there were other examples also that time, like you rightly said.
There's actually a case study on licensing, and just for our audience to know, one time Videocon market share was very high, and they felt that if Samsung and LG would take their market share, so what they did was, it's a good strategy. A lot of manufacturers can learn from them. So when they knew that the Videocon market share is going down, so they introduced a lot of licensed brands coming out of the same Videocon factory, and their collective market share still went back, because
Right.
because they had Toshiba, Sansui, Philips, Akai, Kenwood, Kenstar. So a lot of these
Yeah.
companies were there, and all these companies collectively took the Videocon's market share up there, and they also got their own positioning in that space. It can be very interesting strategy for manufacturers, because manufacturers sometimes they're not able to, it's in the same brand, not able to bring in a lot of differentiation. So if they take another brand under that, and brand which has their own audience, own credibility, so it gives that ability. Now, going on strategy with you at this stage, at what is the long term strategy on licensing for you? What are we looking at, how we are extending the brands, and which are the categories which you think there is one overall opportunity, and second is you would like to get associated with, and who are the potential licensee partners which you would like to take?
Okay, first and foremost, our brand is associated on the consumer electronic space and also appliances, consumer durables. So we would want to partner with a licensee who has some knowledge of this space, right? Who would want to take this forward in this space, because that is immediate acceptance. So that's really a no-brainer. It's a easy sell for anybody. Definitely a lot of hard work required, but compared to other products, is lesser work in this space. And like I said, we have been very flexible and open with the brand, so we can extend it to other products also. A lot of IT products coming up and nowadays. So that's also another place where it can be extended to. So really the kitchen appliances. So that's another space, which is a huge space today.
Yes,
So
yes.
that's So that's something else, and these are all related to each other in a certain way. They're not very different, although their networks are different, their sale points are different. But again, when it comes to a brand, the recall and the association, they're all related. So those are something which can be done right away. I don't really see anything which is stopping this. Um, but then if somebody is willing to take it forward to a new category altogether, we are open to it. And definitely, I don't want, I'll get down to it right away. What is the criteria for getting a licensee? Again, there are a lot of factors into it. Um, like I said, it helps if the licensee has knowledge of the industry. He's from the industry. For example, if you want to give a brand for apparels, you want somebody who has knowledge of clothing and who's from the clothing line, already. That helps. So for electronics, we would really love to partner with somebody who has knowledge of the products, of the network, because each range is different. The networks behave differently. Handling of a network also goes differently. The consumers are different on the mindset side of it. So somebody has knowledge of it, somebody who is quality conscious, who can give good quality products. I've seen a lot of brands go down because of bad licensing decisions. They have taken up companies that have not really put an effort into the brand. Um, then after sales service, like I pointed out earlier, which we were also doing, is also very important. Um, Network knowledge. Now we have been very, very prominent in North India and a bit in South India, but our markets, really the biggest market is UP, Punjab, Haryana, Rajasthan, Delhi, Himachal Pradesh, and then Bihar, Northeast also Assam. We had a huge network there time. We also had an office in Chennai, Tamil Nadu, to look after the South India sales. Uh, so the network and the brand visibility was very, very good in these days, at least. And the recall factor is again great. Whatever, like I said, people I meet, a lot of them still remember it. So that's something which a person who's a licensee needs to take care of. And definitely, for a new partner, there has to be some hand holding. You need to give them that comfort. You need to take them forward a certain way before they can take over. Because again, for them, it's a new thing, and it's something that they need to evolve with us. We need to explain them the dynamics of the product and the kind of the past, how the product, the brand was handled, and the way it has come forward, and that sensibility needs to be maintained for sure. And keeping all this in mind, I think these are the main factors which add to the licensing. Um, again, the range is open. We are flexible, like we always been. We can look at any industry, but these are few industries immediately can be started.
Very interesting, and I think you rightly said the core industries which you obviously relate for, which is the electronics and large appliances and small appliances. Small appliances, as you said, is a huge category, and especially kitchen is a very big category now coming in. Every single product can go into a multiple volumes and so on forth. So that's a good category. I will also put some other interesting categories which are not explored. Home security is a good category to do. LED bulbs and
Lighting.
is a very good. Lighting can be a huge category. So all these are also very interesting. So anything to do with electronics, anything to do with the smart technology, future technologies would all become very interesting for a brand extension. And as a brand, this is great for manufacturing companies and also for distribution companies, people who have distribution. And a lot of people in India was essentially doing, they're traders. They have a large distribution network, but they don't own the brand. So it's a great opportunity for them to really be partner with the brand. When you have a brand, then you are able to stabilize your pricing. The biggest problem in the trade brands are that you're not able to stabilize pricing. The MRP becomes a very big problem for them. They cannot sell products on MRP, and that these companies and the brands which are run on popular brands, they are able to stabilize their price. Otherwise, in the trade brand, you will have a published rate, something else. If you say buy a fan from unbranded structure or a cooler or something like that, you'll find a price of say 1500 rupees written in the MRP, but the trade is actually using this, selling it almost half of the price. So you're not able to stabilize, because as a consumer also you don't trust that value. But when you are partner with a stable brand to do that. And any other strategy which Moiji you would have, because the brand has come a long way, and this also challenging sometimes for a lot of potential licensees when they come to us and say, uh, how is a brand going to be working with us to make it more relevant for the current consumer base? While you have a consumer base which probably would be in my age, which already knows that. But when it goes to say age of Vatsal, he might not know the brand so well, right? While he would know because he's managing your account anyway. So and and he's the one who's actually been more fond of your brand. But a lot of his age might not know. So how we going to work with now to really make the brand relevant for the current generation?
You've pointed out some excellent product categories like lighting, like home security. Um, these, the current generation really wants good technology product which suit their needs at a reasonable price range. Again, you need to address it. Social media is a huge space where a person can reach out to these people. This is very different from our typical advertising we used to do earlier, which was radio ads and wall paintings in smaller towns where you still see those. A bit of television, newspaper. For reaching out to the new audiences, the younger generation, see, quite a few still remember. Again, I have people coming up to me saying, "Arey, we remember our dad used to have it, or we grew up with it." So a lot of people still know it in a small way. They still have a recall of it, which is helpful. But the right promotion, and social media is not very expensive today, and it's the best medium to reach out to people. Of the brand, the way it's evolved, and the journey, and the history, and the credibility, it does help to push it forward in this space. Again, it's how a licensee takes it forward. It totally depends upon that.
Yeah,
They
it
need
totally
to
depends
be.
on the licensee. And also, I think, it will also help for a licensee to really develop a full program and use the opportunity now, especially for homegrown Indian brands. I think this is the best time. This is the best time because almost from a consumer mindset viewpoint, everybody is. It's not really driven only by Mr. Modi in terms of vocal for local, but I think largely the sentiment very clearly is very clearly toward Indian brands. But every brand has to pass the story, and the story should come in. The initial licensee have to really work through that, how they really develop the story, how they create this whole vintage of the brand to their advantage. Because you have serviced the market for 5 decades. If you service the market for 5 decades, then obviously there is a huge amount of legacy which is there. And how do you really redefine that legacy? And there are greater examples. And if you really see all these brands, and you look at global brands, look at Electrolux, Calvinator, and these brands are essentially not the OEMs now, they're just brand now. And they're globally licensing in that, because they keep, every time they enter into market, they keep it relevant. They enter with the fresh products, they enter with a fresh kind of a range, and brand becomes relevant, right? Like for example, people even Calvinator, if they see in India, they would imagine the Calvinator which is very vintage. But now when they don't have a new program on that, they will bring in some cutting edge new brands, and people start relating from there. So this is a good part. The consumer starts relating from the time they see and build this structure. So I would like to invite Vatsal, your questions for Mohiji.
Sure. Thank you, Mohit. Thank you for joining us today. So I'll be putting in two things to you. Being coming from the house of Beltek. Uh, when we are talking about the product extensions, when we are talking about the new category plannings and all of that, I would like to bring in how is your thoughts when it comes to the new innovation and when it comes to adopting a new technology, because that's something which is very important. Because if I talk about a brand like Nokia, it was a world leader, it was a market leader when it came to the phones actually. But they were able to sustain with the upcoming advancements which is happening with the technology. Samsung came up with the smartphones and all of that, and Nokia didn't survive actually. So don't you think, having that technology, because if I talk about the younger generation, so today, if a person like me, I would like to use a product which is having, ease of use, ease of, the user interface should be very nice. Everything has to be very, handy actually. So don't you think, that, mixture of or that integration of technology is something which is very important, or that innovation, coming with any product or a category, that's something which is very important as a brand or as a licensee that should work on.
Yeah, rightly so. Again, it depends how you handle the brand vis-a-vis the products you're trying to sell under the brand. Um, you need to, and for the younger generation, definitely, like I said, you need to have the right technology available for them, ease of use, which you also said, interface needs to be very easy to use. It should be good looking, the finishing has to be very good. Um, and these kind of things really help, especially in today's day and age, because the products are very easily available. You can get them offline, you can get them online, online more so because the pictures and the different views available. So the kind of product it looks and the reviews, so that the younger generation keeps all this in mind. Even when I buy a product, I need to look at the review of a product, right? What the other consumers are saying, how they're rating the product. So a person needs to be sensitive to the kind of quality sales service. I keep on, saying this again and again. If these few parameters are maintained, right, with the right kind of technology that you're getting into a product, I don't think that there should be any problem in selling a product. As far as new product ranges is concerned, yeah, a lot of multinational brands started coming in India of late. The brands which we used to hear when we were small kids, for example, RCA from America, or Telefunken. I mean, I never heard of Telefunken in so many years. It used to be, I think, 80s brand or something, Europe based, but that's come into India. Um, so you do see these brands come in. Then you have the known ones, JVC, Thomson, Nokia is one getting into new products. I was also surprised to see a brand like Westinghouse, come into India on a new category altogether. They're known for the air conditioners, but they want to explore other categories. So somebody got it into India as a licensee to push it forward. Um, very, very surprising. Again, case in point, Kodak from America. I would never associate Kodak with a television. I've grown up on Kodak cameras. I know it only like a photography brand. That was their forte. But to see something like that get extended into consumer electronics, very, very surprising for me. And that is the good thing. That is where the whole thing sums up from, because the acceptability is there. People are willing to, again, Kodak is something that the recall factor in the newer generation might not be so much, because that was, I'm also pretty old actually, our generation brand. So, but now, with this coming in, and the success has been pretty good. They've been able to make a nice dent in the market under this brand. So the acceptability of known brands, also for Indian brands, is the same story. The acceptability is there. A bit of recall, a bit of push in the right direction is all it takes, and people are willing to take it up. Vis-a-vis a local brand, there's so many new brands come in, fizzle out. People don't know what kind of a long-term strategy these companies have or the brands have. So compared to them, definitely the known brands, and that one category is the top multinational, Samsung, LG, Sony, what we are talking about. And the second category is coming up with these new brands coming up, which were the earlier previous, very popular brands, extending themselves to new space, exploring new spaces. People willing to get this into new areas and trying them out into new areas because the vision is there. Um, um, they are sure that this is the right space that they can push it into. So it's a good space, and I think that is something which is really becoming very popular. And this is the right time for companies to start, exploring, just getting into this?
Absolutely, and we've been actually, Bradford has been a pioneer in this space, both India and US, to extend the brands. I mean, some of the brands you've taken, Westinghouse or Kodak or a Polaroid, or now we recently did a big deal 2 years back for Compaq. So we extended Compaq to this entire thing. Now we're on the verge of bringing another iconic global brand into television called Acer. Acer is essentially a you know, brand for laptops and computing. But now a lot of these computing brands, because they've become very familiar, especially in the late 90s and early 20s, these were brands people were using day and day and night, and now they're extending into a lot of other consumer categories, these brands on. And sometimes very unconventional brands also are coming in, which is becoming very popular. But you're right, this space is very big in India. I think the whole especially the television space has widened it up. Today we have over 110 odd brands, which are what I call the nationally recognized and internationally. I'm not talking about the just imported brands. And somebody's asking questions. A lot of these mobile companies now extending themselves. So OnePlus is getting into this, or MI has gone into a big television. So a lot of this extension also, because screen is becoming, this is choice of screen. One is a smart screen, which is a television, and one is your phone which you have. So it's also becoming a very integrated structure. And also there is a question which I would take it from Rajesh. He's talking about a lot of these platforms which are now significant contributors like Amazon and things like that. They're also creating their own brands, or sometimes taking licensees and also creating their own private labels. So what is your opinion on that? What do you see? You know, where is this going? Because they obviously would like to push their own private label. There was a huge strategy of private label, but I think with licensed brands coming in, the private label story to me is becoming more and more weak. People are more interested, rather than buying a private label of a particular company, they would like to buy a more licensed brand because their trust on the brand is much higher.
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head. This is exactly what it is. It comes down to, this is the buzzword, the trust, right? So a known brand, you have the trust factor. Um, Also, you need to keep in mind that in India, especially, products are used for many years. It's not a 1 or 2 year sale. A television set earlier used to run for 15 years. Now the life has probably come down to 5, 6 years because the technology is evolving very, very fast. But still, people don't really throw away the old sets. They might push it down to a kid's room or a guest room or something, but the product stays in the house, right? Um, so the trust is again important because they know that they bought a brand which has been there for many years, which has been able to sustain, which is known for its quality, which is known for its workmanship, for its port. So that's really the factors which go into a consumer buying a brand. Again, let me give you an example. We have a washing machine at our house, which is more than 10 years old, and it's broken down quite a few times. And I keep on telling my wife that we should be selling this now, high time. And she wouldn't let me sell this. She said, hey, it works perfectly fine. I'm the one using it. What do you care? Just get it repaired. Why do you want to waste so much money? And as long as it works fine, I'm happy with it, right? So that's really the mindset, and that's also the mindset of many people, including mine. If I have to change a laptop, I'll think 10 times because it's something that I'm just used to it. The keyboard and the feel of it, and all the the management of the whole operating system is something that a person is very well versed with, right? So especially in our kind of a market, people would want to buy a known brand because they need to run it for many, many years and they know it when they buy it. They're not buying it for a few months or few years, really. So that is where the known brands come into play. That's where the trust and the comfort comes into play. And that's more important.
Yeah, absolutely right. And that's where the value of a brand really comes in. Brand brings in his own trust, confidence, and but I also feel that brands should just not apply themselves as a just extending their brand to and products. I think there has to be some features. I remember when I had a meeting with Kodak at their headquarters in US. Uh, they were very clear what they stand for, and they wanted some element of their business to reflect on the products. While it gets diluted at some times, but the vision very clearly for brand owners is that how do you really reflect? Every brand stands for some strong value proposition, and that value proposition comes from their foundation. As in your case said, quality was your assurance of your father, what you want to do that. How do you really secure that? How do you reflect to that? And people who are brands which are very honest about that, they're just not using to extend it. They're very honest about what they stand for. I think would do always better than a lot of other players available in the market. And especially some companies and some licensing partners, I've really seen that they are very, very strongly, very clearly focused on the differentiation they create. When you see the brand and you can clearly say, because it is Kodak or Veer, what do you say? Because of this, they have some better value addition than the other company. A lot of new other, there is another question which Ricky has, that new categories are coming in. While he was talking on more on MI, how MI is in China. Actually, if you go to MI stores in China, they have a lot of other products which come under them, from even writing a making a pen which they would sell, or a shaver, or a air purifier, or luggage suitcase. So a lot of these categories they have really created, because they and every category which they have created this intelligently designed in a manner that it fits into one same target group, which is an executive who's traveling, who's in the smart life, and also every product of there has a technology or innovation advantage. So very
Right.
interesting extension we have done. So while it looks like that, why would MI get into writing pens, making pens, or getting into a luggage, or and I think natural extensions were they getting into a power bank, getting into earphones. These were very natural extensions for them. But getting into a luggage, or getting into a shavers, or air purifiers was a little far to do that. So any company which understands the target group very clearly, that my target group is going to be this, and be very honest about it, what I think would be able to achieve that. Any comments you have, Moji?
Yeah, for sure. You need to have your strategy into place. You need to know the way you're going in the future, the way forward. If you have it planned out and your mind is very clear, like you say, then it's easy to achieve it, right? Because you already mapped your path. You know, I have to go this route, and this is what I need to do. So that becomes easier. So again, a company needs to know what kind of a space they want to work in, what are their future goals, how they want to take it forward, what kind of products would they look at, and then put in resources into innovation. Definitely, the products and the technology today are changing so fast, and you need to be on top of it. And especially Chinese companies have been very innovative. We all know that, and it's translating down to Indian companies also now because of the government push with the Make in India. Manufacturing is growing in a huge way in India. Atmanirbhar Bharat is another good initiative by the government. So people are, are getting into a lot of innovation, a lot of manufacturing. Earlier, the products were just simply imported from China under a particular brand, but now the products are being made in India under the same brand by the companies owning the brand. So that has gone a long way. The government pushed the government initiatives, which is a good thing. So again, it depends upon the strategy of a company, right? As MI has been able to do it, I'm sure the other companies will be following suit because they've seen a live example which is successful, and let's hope things happen the way you're saying.
Absolutely. Vatsal, any
Yeah,
last question from your side?
because Mohit, as we speaking about all this product innovations and everything, integration of technology innovation. I think the features also play a major role. What kind of features that the product is coming up with. What kind of new additions that you are going to give it to the customers. Okay, and I think that's where the brand stands different from already existing known brands. I believe, and I think that's has already been created by brands like MI or OnePlus. And they have given a very close competitive competition to already existing very known smartphone brands like Samsung or Apple and all of that. Okay, because the kind of features they brought in, with the price budget of XYZ amount. Okay, so that was something which had a major role for them to get that market and capture that market within that price range. So here I would like to understand one more thing, Mohit. When it comes to the product features, and already, where there's already so many e-commerce players and commerce players are coming into the field. So don't you think that ease of business has become so easy that everybody can come up with so? And what do you think, in terms of the competition? Because all these marketplaces have also got into licensing actually. Flipkart is taking a couple of licensing. Amazon is started doing licensing actually. So don't you think this product features and integration of those features with the price range, okay, is making things difficult for the consumer electronic brands to sustain or survive? You know,
Not really. See, I'll address it in two parts. First is with these e-com companies coming up with their own brands. Like Gaurav also rightly put it some time back, that they have been trying it. They're getting into a lot of categories, almost every category I can think of, they're trying to hands in. But there is really not a competition with the known brands, especially brands which have been there for many years, which have a recall factor. So those are and they're coming up in India in a big way. A lot of new brands are coming up because India is a good market. They understand it's a huge market for them. And e-commerce, rather than adding to competition, I think it is adding to the ease of sale. E-commerce is growing in a huge way, especially after the COVID situation. People have stopped going, obviously, we all know that, outside. So and that is where it has picked up. Now, India has done tremendous post this COVID few months that we had the lockdown in. The market, at least for consumer electronics and appliances, has grown tremendously, more so than the other product categories that I see in the market today. Um, this also, to a certain extent, is because people are not leaving their houses too much. So they're using the appliances themselves. So they want to, have the best of appliances available. On the need for household help has gone down. People don't want to depend upon people, outsiders coming in doing their cleaning or doing the utensils. So, given people want to invest into products which are appliances, televisions, because at home you do end up watching a lot of television. My viewing time has gone up for sure. I know that. So they want to have the best new products, smart televisions, things like that. So they are also in the process of, upgrading their product range because the use of these products has increased with the COVID coming up. It's helped our industry in some way. Kitchen appliances, huge business today because again the housewives are using the appliances themselves, so they want all the appliances which were old to be replaced, or they want easier to use appliance. So that category has also grown, so which is a good thing for the market today, and e-commerce is helping all this.
Yeah, it's surprising to see that how the whole electronic space has gone a spike, and this was when lockdown opened up. This was some of the retailers, especially B and C cities, the kind of sales went through the roof, which is obviously people are staying at home and they've either burned their ACs and found their washing machine to be changed. You're not changing, uh, but you're not helping the industry. You should really, in the interest of the industry, change the washing machine now.
I've been pushing, so I'm not the culprit here. But again, it's a good space today, and it's a good thing that the industry has been able to come out of the kind of situation we were all in few months back, and coming up in a brighter, bigger way, and taken things in the stride and pushed forward, and the consumers have helped in a big way.
Thank you. So, Mohit, any last comments you have, because we're coming to the end of the show? Any last comments you want to say to our audience, and maybe talk about the brand vision or anything you want to share? We are very excited to have partnership with you at Bradford, and we see a very strong legacy brand, and and you also know that you very clear that you only want to partner with people who make sense and have a very strong demonstration on their distribution capabilities, their performance capability and quality. Obviously, it's a family brand for you, and it's very important for you to really see the quality. So, any last comments you have?
So, like we've been talking, we are open. We are open to new product categories. We are open to talking about innovations. We are there to support whatever we required from our side because, like I said, there's a hand holding required initially to take it forward. We do stand to a commitment of quality, definitely. So any new product coming in, any kind of a range coming in, people need to be rest assured it'll be quality stamped by our company before it gets introduced into the market. So we will maintain that vision, we'll maintain that trust, and we look forward to a great association with Bradford. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thanks for joining us, and thanks, Vatsal. And thank you, friends, in joining us on Unlock Brand with Bradford. Bradford is a global licensing firm, operates out of New York, London, and India. And we work with global licensees and a lot of work we are doing now with the homegrown brands. I particularly been very, very fond of our homegrown brands because they are honest. They've been living, they've served the customers here, and they're committed to the market. And I feel that there is a bigger synergy to now take them to a new set of audience or maybe refresh the brand back in the market. So thank you very much, Mohiji. Thank you for joining in. Thanks, WhatsApp.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Bye bye.
everyone. Thank you, Boyd.
Thank you. Thank you.